Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's January. It's the 24th of January. It's 2017. It's Tuesday. We only have 6 basketball games tonight, so it's a pretty easy slate to break down. But we look at the slate, and the lowest total on the slate is still over 200. So we definitely have some interesting games here for this small slate. And 6-game slates are always fun for me because you can really research the slate. So anyway, it's Tuesday, so that means our normal Tuesday guest, Killa B. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good. Interesting slate yesterday with basically all the Spurs being out. Had some interesting Anthony Davis news before lock, so kind of pushed you into a stars and scrubs night. I think I didn't create one lineup that didn't have at least 3 San Antonio Spurs in it. So really interesting because I don't think I've ever had to relearn what the rules are for each site. There were times where I was pushing almost 6 Spurs into a lineup, so it kind of got a little scary at times.
Oh man, that many Spurs in the lineup is always fun.
Yeah.
A couple of the sites, those guys were still I know Fantasy Aces, Murray was min salary. I had done the article for incentives for Fantasy Aces, and David Lee was 3,500. It was just those guys are way too cheap.
Yep. And Murray would have been the one that kind of killed a little bit, but like you said, he's basically min value everywhere outside of DraftKings. So, if you faded him on DraftKings, you're pretty happy.
All right, we have a nice little 6-game slate. We're going to get into that. I posted a question on Twitter, so we'll have some questions to answer when we get done. We'll play the game here towards the end as well. Beat Siege 1-0 with the new format yesterday, so I'm up 1-0 on him. And then we'll see how I do against the guy that has been the only one that all season get every single one of them. So, I'm kind of worried about that.
Yeah, totally different game here though. So I just got the rules beforehand, so I'm going through my head right now, see which players stick out to me. So I should be ready by the end of the show.
At least I was nice enough to tell you before. I probably should have waited to tell you after as the game started, but no. But anyway, let's get into the breakdown. We're going to start with Boston at Washington, 219.5 total here. Boston favored by 1 in this game. We do have injury news here. Avery Bradley already ruled out for this game. Gerald Green, the backup shooting guard / small forward, already ruled out for this game as well. Zeller is probable and expected to return here. That's probably going to take a few minutes away from Olynyk. And then on the Washington side, we just got to pay attention to Bradley Beal. He got the in-day downgrade to questionable yesterday, ended up playing through it, shot the ball terrible in the first half, looked good in the second half. So we'll have to see if he's going to play on a back-to-back. His price makes him a little tougher, but we'll talk about that. Starting with Boston here, with Bradley and Green out, is there any value that you see right off the bat?
Yeah, so I'm curious between Kelly Oubre and Terry Rozier. We're talking about 2-3K guys. Who's going to be getting the minutes? Or I shouldn't say Kelly Oubre. I'm sorry, Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart. What the breakdown here of minutes would be between. I would assume Smart's going to push 32, 34 minutes. So I think Smart's the play across the industry. And then if you kind of want to throw out a 3K gamble, Terry Rozier's been basically playing half the game the last 4 games now. So he's a guy that he can stuff the stat sheet. So had 3 boards, 3 assists, 13 shots in 22 minutes last game. So definitely a guy that you could take a flyer with and will definitely get minutes. So, but yeah, what are you thinking for Boston?
No, I like the Rozier card. I had him written down when I did my initial research. We do this game now where we have to have a 3K guy, so you always look at these 3K guys as you're going. I definitely had him written down. I do like the spot for him. I think he has a very good boomer bust punt play. It's all about minutes, and without Green, he should be locked into 20 minutes, and at 3K, definitely a spot. Honestly, what I'm looking at here mostly for Boston is Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas, I feel like, gets the biggest bump without these guys. He has a 40% usage without Bradley starting this season, and it's a 217-minute sample size with the starters. So I think that Thomas is a fantastic play here, and looking at, what he's been able to do against Washington this season, he's averaging right at 49 fantasy points in 2 games. So, like, the floor and upside is definitely there. The $9,300 price tag is pricey on DraftKings. But on a slate where we really don't have, like, a Westbrook or a Harden or a Giannis or any of these studs, like, paying $9,300 for Isaiah Thomas isn't the craziest thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, seriously, there's a lot of Boston guys in play. I mean, Isaiah Thomas, I'd more likely click on his name on FanDuel. Kelly Olynyk, I don't know how much of a Kelly Olynyk fan you are, but, with no Avery Bradley and, like we said, no Gerald Green for backup, you're going to need a guy off the bench that can shoot, and Olynyk's that type of guy. And if he gets hot, sometimes he gets quite a bit of run. We've seen him play 32 minutes before, and I think he gets at least half a game of run here. So a guy that's a point per minute guy, and Washington's. This should be a nice fast-paced game for this Boston-Washington. So Washington just played last night, so they might be a little bit tired. So, but yeah, Horford probably my safest play on the board at 6,800. I mean, a lot is in play here. I know John Wall really killed a lot of my lineups last night. I mean, I could have had a monster, especially the way he started off the game. He had a huge first quarter and then just nothing after the first quarter. He ended up with 39 DraftKings points. I want to say he had almost 20 in the first quarter. So, but yeah, on the other side of the ball, I probably looked at John Wall.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me about Wall, he really hasn't done well against Boston so far this season, but obviously it's definitely something that could happen. We'll talk about Washington one second. The one other, you mentioned Marcus Smart in passing a few minutes ago. Like, Marcus Smart's going to play a boatload of minutes in this game. I would expect 35-plus minutes from him in this game, so he's definitely one of the safer options on the board here. Washington, they struggle against wing players, so if you want to take Jay Crowder, I don't hate it, and he's going to play a bunch of minutes as well. Not really a tournament guy because the upside's limited, but those two guys are probably – if you're playing cash games, you got to definitely look at those two guys.
Yeah, and I'm definitely more I like Smart more than Crowder. Crowder has been coming on of late. His shots have gone really up. His last, 6 games, he's been at double-digit shot attempts. So that's really big. He kind of got off to a really slow start, but his price is starting to creep up there at 5,600. It's not. I'd rather pay that same price tag and get Marcus Smart instead. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna end up in the same page with you. I think Marcus Smart has more upside as well for tournaments. So. I don't mind Jay Crowder. Now, looking at, you had mentioned John Wall, coming off of a night that he burned people. Bradley Beal, the sore knee on Monday on a back-to-back. Could we see them limit his minutes even if he starts here?
Yeah. I guess I'll have to look into that a little bit more. Do we know how bad it was, or
anytime you get an in-day downgrade, it just worries me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's crazy that he played. How many minutes did he get tonight? 32.
Yeah, 32.
Yeah, and it's funny because early on in the season, they were trying to regulate his minutes, right? And they were still giving him 40 minutes. It was unbelievable. And they would do the same day updates, hey, we're trying to keep Bradley Beal, we're cautioning or trying to keep his minutes low. And yet they would still run him out for 38, 40 minutes. So I mean, I don't know. Washington's a weird organization when it comes to with their their updates and stuff.
Yeah, they're a tough team to figure out, especially in this spot against Boston. It's a weird spot. It's a weird game. I've been playing a lot of Otto Porter lately, so I'll probably have a lot of exposure to him as well. I think that he's averaging 56 DraftKings points in 2 games against Boston this season. I was going to say, I remember a game that he just went absolutely bonkers against them.
Yeah, if Beal is out, John Wall gets a 8.5% usage rate bump. So you're gonna want him in your lineup if Beal is out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Gortat, he's been burning me a lot lately. Boston, not a team that rebounds the ball well. Do you like Gortat here, or are we just looking at other centers?
I mean, his minutes have really come down of late. He was a guy that was receiving basically between 36 and 40 minutes 2 weeks ago. But now it seems like it's dipped to where he's only had one game over 30 minutes the last 6 games. So this is a guy that's not a high producer with the minutes. So he needs to see that 36 minutes for me to roster him. So no, I'm not going to be interested.
Yeah, it's been real. They've been giving Markieff Morris a ton of run in that offense. So
as they should. He's been awesome.
Finally, he played 41 minutes on Monday night. I don't even worry about this guy in a back-to-back. He has too much energy for everybody anyway. So I think Markieff in tournaments, especially on DraftKings, where you can play him at a small forward position, that's where I love playing him.
Yeah, Markieff is definitely in play. This is a really juicy matchup. I like a lot of guys in this line in this matchup. So
that means we get to move on to a game that kind of stinks. Chicago at Orlando, 206 total here. Chicago only favored by 2.5. No injury news on the Chicago side, but on the Orlando side, we know that Jody Meeks is out for this game. DJ Augustine hurt himself on Sunday. Negative results on Monday. He's day-to-day, so we'll have to see if he plays or not. And then Evan Fournier missed practice on Monday. Still not expected to play here. If all three of those guys are out, like if DJ Augustine's out for Orlando, it just becomes one of those, who the heck do we play? CJ Watson, I guess?
I'd be all over Elfrid Payton. 6,400 on DraftKings. He's going to, and if you've seen Elfrid Payton's minutes, they've been really good. The last 6 games, he's been over 34 minutes in 4 out of the 6. So that was something that we were trying to get. You know, he was always coming off the bench, and he was basically playing maybe half the game, sometimes like 26, 28 minutes. But now that we're seeing a guy get 36, 38, 40 minutes, at 6,400, he's just way too cheap. And, you know, Chicago can't stop the point guard. So I'm going to have a lot of Elfrid.
Yeah, I like that call on Payton a lot. You know, the 2 games without Meeks, he's played 37 and 39 minutes. So just expect Payton to play a bunch of minutes like what you're saying there. Magic are my favorite team, so I'm always biased. I always have Jeff Green. I got Jeff Green right for the first time all year the other night, where he put up 36 and made me a lot of money on Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the well here, especially if we get news that Fournier sits. What people don't know is Green's been playing the 2. And Mario's actually been backing up Aaron Gordon in the 3. So, like, Green's been the first guy off the bench. He's getting run. He's played over 25 minutes in 2 straight now without Jody Meeks. And, you know, he's just a guy, like, when he was with Boston and stuff, we know the upside. He has tons of upside. He can score just points in bunches. And I'm going to continue to play him with none of these guys playing.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I actually saw your tweet that day that you had 100% of like 3 guys, and all 3 hit pretty strong. I know.
Except for Harden. Harden killed me that night. Like, Harden was the difference between, like, I think I ended up making like 2, and like he was the difference between like 2 and like 10. James Harden. Never thought I'd say that Harden killed me against Golden State.
Yeah. That was a rough game. I mean, basically, I had a rough week this past week, so I kind of want to just erase all those memories out of my head. So, yeah.
Anybody else in the Magic? I think Aaron Gordon is definitely in play as well. Tougher matchup with Jimmy Butler, but he's going to play a bunch of minutes too.
Yeah, I'd say Aaron Gordon is definitely a GPP only. I mean, he can. Oh, yeah. It seems like he's got a confidence thing, like where when he's hot in the first quarter, I mean, he could put up, you know, 15, 16 shots. But if he's not feeling it, the minutes don't go there, and then he doesn't look to get his shot off. So, yeah, Aaron Gordon, perfect GPP play.
And then we have the bigs. Like, the bigs are just stay away from me. Even Ibaka at this point, it's just, I can't trust the minutes for any of these guys. The prices are fair, but who are you playing? Like, you're getting – like Vooch, Ibaka, and Biyombo are all playing like 20, 25 minutes a game, and there's no upside there.
Yeah, Biyombo's coming off of 2 monstrous games.
On 2 teams that drive the basket a lot, he had a lot of blocks. I was watching both of those games. He blocked a lot of shots.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, he's not getting you more than 24 minutes. He's not a fancy point per minute type of guy, so you're going to need – you're going to need like 26, 28 minutes to feel really comfortable to put him in cash games. And, yeah, I don't feel comfortable.
No, as you should. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Let's look at the Chicago side of things. Talking about coming off big games, Dwayne Wade coming off a monster game against Sacramento. Shooting guards against Sacramento, still a thing.
Yeah. I mean, again, Dwayne Wade is going to be one of those guys that he'll probably never be in a cash game of mine. But, there's a lot of narratives around Dwayne Wade. Anytime he matches up with one of his boys or, at any point in time, he just, decides to take over a game, which doesn't happen very often anymore at his age. So, but yeah, tournament play only for me.
Yeah, always a tournament only play, always. And it's just going to be those games where he decides he wants to be that guy. I want to say, though, in the last 5 games, 4 of those games, he's put up at least 20 shot attempts. So that's just something we need to pay attention to. That's a lot. 20 shot attempts in a game is a lot, and that's 4 out of the last 5.
Yeah, and without Rondo at point, Dwayne Wade is getting the ball a lot more in his hands. We already know that Michael Carter-Williams is not a very good point guard, right? So Dwayne Wade's bringing up the ball sometimes. Jimmy Butler's playing point forward every once in a while. So, I mean, Jimmy Butler can put up monster lines also. So I really like Jimmy Butler's price at $9K, but it's just, at Orlando, slower pace game. I don't know. If I'm going to buy him, I'm going to buy him on DraftKings.
Yeah, you're playing him in tournaments today. You're playing both these guys in tournaments today. There's no, like I said, there's no Westbrook. There's no Harden. There's no Durant. Like, you got to have some exposure to these guys because these guys have upside.
Right.
In cash games, it's a little different, I guess. Like, in cash, today is a really good day in cash just to go kind of balance.
Yeah, totally agree. Offhand, like I can't. I don't know how much Valley's going to be out there. San Antonio, sat down all their guys yesterday, so I assume most of them are coming back and playing today. Maybe outside of Manu Ginobili, but I don't know if there's like any value that really sticks out to me.
And then Taj, all these other guys, Lopez. It's just they're okay. They're just not guys that I'm playing.
Yeah, you do want to attack Orlando at the bigs normally, but again, it's a minutes thing with these guys. Robin Lopez seems like he can play anywhere from like half the game to up to 37, 38 minutes. I mean, geez, if you could slate him in for 30 minutes, I mean, he'd be cash viable. But yeah, that's the thing. Like they pull these guys' minutes so much around, and then even Taj, coming off of 18 minutes and 29 minutes. So, again, probably just tournaments only.
Yeah, if I'm playing either one of those guys, I'm just paying the extra $500 for Gibson. But I'm likely not playing any of those guys. But moving on, LA Clippers at Philadelphia, 201.5 total in this game. Clippers only favored by 3 without Embiid, so that's definitely interesting. Chris Paul already ruled out for this game. Blake Griffin probable to return. If I had to guess, we would have to say that he's probably going to be on a minutes limit. We'll talk about that in a minute. Joel Embiid ruled out for this game and for Wednesday's game. And then Okafor is questionable, but more on the probable side. I think that was just nothing really serious. So we'll start with the Clippers, and we'll start with Blake Griffin. It is against Philadelphia, but how much are we really expecting him to play after missing 17 games and having 3 days off after this game?
Yeah, so I'm just reading the news blurb right now with Doc Rivers, just saying that he will most likely play Tuesday. But I don't see anything with minutes in there. So
of course not.
yeah. So I mean, this is something where I'm gonna try and hopefully there is some type of presser where he does say something about Blake's playing availability or time. But yeah, I don't expect him playing more than half the game. So. Normally when these guys come back off of 6 weeks, to 2 months, they're going to play somewhere between 16 to 20 minutes. So that's kind of where I expect Blake to kind of slide into. But I guess unless I hear otherwise from Doc Rivers, I'll just assume 16 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you. If we do get news that he is going to play 30 minutes in this game at 7,600 against Philadelphia, you locked that in.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things too. How rusty is he? How long has he been practicing? I mean, there's a few things that I need to look at, and it'll probably be through Twitter tomorrow. So,
DeAndre Jordan, 8,100 here. Blake coming back, definitely going to take some usage away from DeAndre. Any interest in Jordan?
Nope, it's a total fade spot now. He's going to lose some rebounding opportunities. Definitely his usage, which did you see his game last? He went 1 for 1 yesterday.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you went 1 for 1. So he had 7 points, but in almost 35 minutes, he had 34 fantasy points. Not bad for shooting once.
And I will say, like, we have really no sample size with this starting lineup projected for tomorrow with Blake in there and Raymond Felton and all these guys. Like, so we're really just going to be building sample size for this lineup over the next like 4 or 5 games. So it's going to be tough to kind of project. You know, one guy that continues to stay underpriced is Jamal Crawford and JJ Redick, or 2 guys. Both those guys continue to be underpriced. You know, Redick's minutes are going to be solid. You know that he's going to continue to play big minutes. It's Philadelphia. I do like JJ Redick a lot here.
Yeah, JJ Redick's been really solid. Again, buy him on FanDuel. He's all these guys seem to be way cheaper on FanDuel. Jamal Crawford's coming off a really nice game last night. He shot 20 times in 27 minutes. So he's back to chucking. So that's good. You know, I mean, obviously when DeAndre Jordan only has 1 attempt, somebody's got to be shooting the ball. So yeah, Crawford got off 20. So it's always nice to see him shoot again, because he went for a stretch there without even really attempting shots. So yeah, I think he's back.
Yeah, I don't mind that. $4,400 price tag on DraftKings as well. You know he's going to get a ton of usage off the bench, so I don't mind that. It'd be interesting to see who they shift to the bench here with Blake coming back. If they even start Blake, Blake could come off the bench here. We have no idea. This is one of those situations where, you know, every once in a while we have these games where it's just kind of question marks. So this is one of those games you really just got to pay attention to the injury news. Now we could definitely look at the Philadelphia side. We know Joel Embiid. One guy that I play every time that no Embiid is Ilyasova, and hey, guess what? I'm playing Ilyasova here.
Yeah, Ersan. I think Ersan is almost a mortal lock for me. He at 6K on DraftKings, like he's even cheaper on FanDuel. But I mean, we already got news that Embiid's out for these next 2 games. His usage flies, and he's been so consistent, and a guy that you can give him an extra. Probably a couple rebounds. You're going to definitely give him an extra few shots without Embiid on the court. So, yeah, really like Ersan.
Yeah, Ilyasova averaging just over a fantasy point per minute with no Embiid on the floor, 363-minute sample size, massive sample size there. Okafor, another guy that gets a nice little usage bump here without Embiid. So those 2 guys. Covington, he actually gets a nice bump too, 2.2% usage bump without Embiid on the floor with Ilyasova starting. So there's definitely guys, and the price tags are fair. Lowest total on the slate, though, like we don't go crazy with these guys, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna really want to see what their starting lineup looks like without Embiid. Nerlens Noel obviously been playing about 20 minutes a game, so you know, if Nerlens gets the start somehow, which I don't expect, I mean, I could definitely go with Nerlens. But yeah, I mean, I'm really going to go off of probably tomorrow's starting lineup.
Oh, man. Yeah, but like last time against Atlanta, last time out, like Noel only played 13 minutes without Embiid. Yeah. So it's.
Yep, exactly. I feel like to play Noel, you need him in the starting lineup. So if he's not in that starting lineup, then I'm most likely to fade. But, you know, this is a tight game. This is only a 3.5 point Vegas spread right now. So, you know, if it's going to be tight, the rotations, you know, you should get like decent rotations out of the starters. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to matter who the starting 5 is for Philly.
Yeah, and one of them guy like McConnell, like if he continues to start, you know, 5,500 a little pricey, but like he's going to play 30+ minutes in a close game, and he's been really doing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even Dario Saric. Now Dario Saric is a GPP play only, but yeah, McConnell is definitely he won the point guard here over Sergio, that's for sure. But you know, I don't think I can roster him on DraftKings at 5,500 against Clippers. I mean, I guess this is a totally different Clipper defense with no Chris Paul, starting at point guard. But I guess I'll have to kind of look at just how strong defensively they've been at shutting down point guards the last few games. So and go off of that.
Yeah, I played a lot of Schroeder on Monday night, and he ended up, I think, with like 21 actual points in that game. So it's tough to say. I fell asleep. I messaged you on Twitter, and I fell asleep watching the Sacramento game. I was so mad about Boogie after the first quarter that I just turned over. Yeah. So I slept. I took a little nap, so I didn't really watch basketball on Monday night. But
he ended up salvaging his line. He did have a rough start, man. Both him and James Harden had really rough first quarters.
Yeah, Boogie that first quarter was tough. It just didn't look like he wanted to play, and I was like, oh, wonderful. All right, here we go. Yeah. But anyway, moving on, San Antonio at Toronto, 207 total in this game. San Antonio favored by 2.5. We know that Tony Parker is questionable. We don't know if he's actually out for this game. We're going to have to pay attention. They had ruled him out for the next two games, so this is the game where we don't know. So, and then Manu Ginobili is questionable as well, dealing with back spasms. I expect Kawhi Leonard to be back in this game. And then we know DeRozan's out and Patterson's questionable. The big situation in Toronto has kind of become a mess with Sullinger starting to get minutes. We'll start with San Antonio here. One of the games that should stay really close throughout. Two really good teams here. What is your thoughts here on the Spurs?
Yeah, so on the Spurs side of the ball, I'm going to really like Kawhi. He got to sit out today, so he comes, to Toronto fresh as can be. At DraftKings, he's 9,200. So they priced him quite a bit down, or he's definitely a lot cheaper than on a site like FanDuel. So really like Kawhi there. But outside of that, again, gonna have to see who else is healthy here, but most likely fade the rest of San Antonio.
Yeah, outside of David Lee.
Yeah. See. Okay, David Lee on DraftKings is 5,900. I can't pay that price tag. That's just way too high. But over on FanDuel, definitely get some exposure, even on the smaller sites where he is still really cheap. I still see him playing, 24 minutes even tomorrow. He only got 24 today. So,
but he came off the bench today. He should move right back in the starting lineup. I think they just did that back to back. It was Brooklyn. They knew, in the game against Cleveland, they had him down the stretch playing in the game. It was a close game, and he was playing. He played a bunch of minutes there.
Yeah, and he did start the second half too. So, but for some reason they left him, off the starters in the first half. So, but yeah, definitely like Lee, and on a site like DraftKings where he's priced up, I'm gonna it'll be an easy fade for me. But on almost every other site, he's cheap. So,
fair enough. I'm definitely not fading him on DraftKings just because I think his ownership would be low enough where I can take advantage of it. LaMarcus Aldridge under 7K, I think he's definitely in play as well. He's averaging right at 1.1 fantasy points per minute with Kawhi on the floor and no Gasol. So I do think that LaMarcus Aldridge, Kawhi, David Lee is probably the three guys that I'm going to have my most exposure to.
Yep. And, if Ginobili doesn't go, I know a guy that got, burned a lot of people, that Dejounte Murray. I think a lot of people will probably be not clicking on his name tomorrow. But I think it's a good spot to go back to the well if Ginobili's out.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson got a lot of run in that game. It is a blowout, and the Spurs did what they were supposed to do. It is what it is. Patty Mills had 28 fantasy points last night, but he was a terrible play. He only played 20 minutes. So, you just know that, Spurs on a back-to-back, they're going to be really careful with the minutes, and that's what they were.
Yep, exactly. So probably the best run team. Pop knows when to bench guys, keep the team healthy. And
he's so good.
Yeah, it was a perfect moment at Brooklyn, right? That's why I rostered at least 3 Spurs in every lineup because, they had a shorter bench, and Brooklyn's a spot where you can attack 1 through 5,
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Looking at the Toronto side, the DeRozan news definitely big news. We'll start right there. No DeRozan on the floor. Kyle Lowry, 29.5% usage rate, 1.28 fantasy points per minute, a 3.1 usage bump. That's solid. It's really solid. He's going to be super popular here against San Antonio. Like, what are your thoughts of Kyle Lowry? I know you're more of a cash game player.
Yeah, I don't think I can buy him so much on DraftKings. Like at 8,800, I just, I can. Yes, I can. But it's going to be tougher to stomach at 8,800. I'm more likely to go to Corey Joseph at 3,900, hoping that Joseph gets between 26 and 30 minutes tomorrow. But yeah, San Antonio is just not a team I like to target. With Toronto at home, I think they're a lot safer than they would be in San Antonio. But yeah, give me Corey Joseph at 3,900 instead of a top tier price tag of Kyle Lowry at 8,800 on DraftKings.
No, I like that call a lot. I'm right there with you. I like Joseph a lot. He's a guy that I had written down. It's the Spurs. Like, okay, if this game was anybody besides the Spurs or Utah, we would have so much Kyle Lowry that, like tomorrow on tomorrow's podcast, I think they play Milwaukee tomorrow. Like, you're going to have so much Kyle Lowry in that game.
Yeah, so exactly.
It's the matchup. Like, 8,800, even with 30% usage, what's his upside? 45, 50 points? If he puts up 50, he kills me. Okay, done.
Right. It's weird because, I want to say the last time Kyle Lowry was out is when Corey Joseph went off, right? And so we've seen Corey Joseph go off only when Lowry was out. Like he hasn't had a really big game with Kyle Lowry on the court. So that's the only thing that kind of concerns me here. So you can see his usage is down quite a bit with Lowry. So that's I guess my only concern there.
Yeah, without DeRozan though, Joseph's usage is still about 2% higher. So with Lowry on the floor, no DeRozan, it's still about 2% higher. So it all depends on minutes. He averages 0.87 fantasy points per minute with no DeRozan and Lowry on the floor. So like, if he gets 30 minutes, we're looking at one of the best value plays on the board, even against the Spurs.
Yeah, totally agree. He'd be my favorite player right now under 4K. That's for sure.
Let's see, man. The one guy that just keeps screaming off my charts, but I just don't know if I want to play him here is Valanciunas. He averages almost 9 fantasy points per game without DeRozan on the floor.
Yeah, I'm totally not a Jonas Valanciunas guy.
I'm not either. He burns me so much, but like those are just numbers you have to consider.
You as a tournament player, like you should always have some exposure to him because he's that type of guy that can put you he can put up less than 15 points or you can put up a 50-point spot. So like him in tournaments, but outside of that, I won't be clicking his name in cash games.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The bigs are just stayaways, right? Like the forward position, all these guys just kind of rotating minutes. It's just
One thing that I will say is you always want to catch the upswing on guys coming back. So like Jared Sullinger, you're going to start seeing his minutes start to rise here. And if you can get his minutes uptick before his salary uptick, then you're just going to be profiting. So Sullinger is going to start getting, closer to 24, 26 type of minutes. Do I see that against, it's tough because it's the Spurs, but like you said, when they play Milwaukee, maybe you wait until Milwaukee and maybe you hit 24 minutes against Milwaukee where you can attack their bigs. I would like that.
Yeah, it all depends on Patrick Patterson too. Like if Patterson's out, Lucas Najaria, I can't pronounce that name. Either way, he's 4K, and if no Patterson, like he should continue to play 30 minutes. I have no issue with him as a tournament punt.
Yep. Yeah. I know I rostered him. I feel like he didn't produce for me the time that I rostered him. I want to say it was like
it was against Brooklyn. He got a concussion like 5-6 minutes in the game.
Oh, really? Okay, that's what it was. Yes. And didn't come back out. Yeah, so that definitely hurt my my teams that night. So, but yeah, more than okay with him, especially in tournaments. He's only 4,000. And man, I mean, you look at his last 4 games. So like he had the concussion game, but then he had 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 35 minutes. So yeah, if he gets 35 minutes against the Spurs, I'd be more than okay with that, even in cash games. But it's gonna be tough coming off that concussion game and then a 35-minute game, as the if you're thinking he's gonna play 35 minutes or not.
All right, moving on, getting over to the semi-West Coast here. Minnesota at Phoenix, 213 total here. Phoenix favored by 1. At home in this game, Ricky Rubio, questionable, had a personal matter, expected to join the team for this game. Have not seen any news about that, so we'll just leave him as questionable at this point. He's really the only injury / question mark that we have. We'll start here with the Minnesota side. This is a pace-up game, but it doesn't have the total that really represents, game stack.
Yeah, totally agree. If Rubio is out, yeah, I mean, you gotta like what Chris Dunn did in his start. So I believe it was Rubio's grandma that passed away, so that's why he was out. But yeah, I mean, Chris Dunn in 34 minutes put up 42 fantasy points. I mean, almost put up a triple-double, had 10 points, 9 assists, 8 boards. So if Rubio is out, Dunn's an easy insert into the lineup. But yeah, if Rubio is back, I think I could go back to Rubio here. He's been solid, been playing 3/4 of the game at Phoenix. I think he'd be a great start. So really, I want to roster one of these guys. And if Rubio is in, then it'll be Rubio. And if it's Chris Dunn, then I'll be rostering Chris Dunn.
Yeah, I definitely like those guys. Upside wise on this slate, it's a tougher matchup for Cat, but one of the only guys that, initial research wise, that I like that could actually get to 60 to 70 fantasy points on the slate.
Yeah. So I'm looking at their minutes from the last few games. Do we know what's going on with Gorgui Dieng? He's came off of Denver playing 16 and a half minutes. Did he get hurt, or was that just –
He probably got in foul trouble.
Yeah, okay. So –
that's the first thing I think of when you say, he didn't get any minutes. I'm looking it up right now, though.
At the Clippers, I feel like they got they might have got blown out at LA, but he only got 26 minutes there too. So
didn't. Yeah, okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is normally a situation where obviously Minnesota starters, they play 3/4 of the game. So interesting there that Deng's minutes kind of been all over the place, but. Yeah, Towns should eat. I don't like his price on DK at 10.5, coming off of 2 60-point games. But wow, he's really. I mean, he's expensive on both sides. I mean, he's 10.5 on both sides. So potentially, I'll just fade and go with the wings and the guards in this game.
It looks like Shabazz got extremely hot. I don't know if that had anything to do, but Gorgui Dieng was not in foul trouble.
Okay, yeah.
Like Shabazz played 33 minutes and shot the ball 9 for 14 times. So, he was hot.
Yeah, and LaVine, I know LaVine's been putting up some stinkers. He's been kind of the talk of Minnesota sports radio lately, just stinker after stinker. I mean, he's shooting, I don't know, like under 30% the last 2 weeks here. So getting still a lot of run, just can't make a shot to save his life right now. So probably will stay off of him, but man, he would be a great tournament play if you could get him on an upswing.
Yeah, minutes-wise, the guy's just going to play. He just plays a ton of minutes. You just know that LaVine's going to play. I think he still leads the league in minutes per game. So, you just know the minutes are going to be there.
Yeah, but, the guy who's been so consistent of late is Andrew Wiggins. He's been north of 30 points the last 5 of his last 6 games. So I think you stick with the hot hand there. Not too much of a different price differential between Wiggins and LaVine. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sticking with wings and then whatever point guard starts tomorrow.
Looking at the Phoenix side of things here, man, Eric Bledsoe definitely looks like one of the better plays on the entire slate.
Yeah, what a monstrous game he had last game. Love Bledsoe here.
Last 10 days?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
He's been on fire.
Yeah, he made me some money. Was that 2 days ago? So on Sunday, but yeah, I mean Bledsoe's a beast, man. I like this. If Rubio comes back, I like it even more. I guess I don't know how great Chris Dunn's defense is, but I know Rubio's defense is terrible. So love Bledsoe if Rubio's back that much more.
Yeah, and even if Rubio's out, it's Chris Dunn's still a rookie, and you're getting Eric Bledsoe against a rookie. So, like, that's still, I think, a matchup you can definitely attack. Devin Booker, always a tournament play only. That's all that guy ever is. Don't ever play that guy in cash games. What's your thoughts on Tyson Chandler in a tougher matchup here?
I've been playing Tyson a lot.
Just don't know if I like him in this one. That's why I wanted to bring him up.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting spot for Chandler. I mean, man, you gotta like all the minutes that he's been getting, but yeah, this is a spot where, yeah, I mean, I like it. Yeah, you know, on DraftKings, I think he's cash game viable just because of all the minutes he's playing. He's very safe. He's been getting 30 minutes of run. What is it? 8 of his last 10 games. 4, 6, 7 of his last 9. So, yeah, I mean, at that minute, at that minute level, like, I mean, if he's getting 30 minutes of run, he's going to return probably around 30 points. So, and at only 5,700, that's 5x. So, yeah, I'm good with him. In fact, the last, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 7 of his last 8, he's been over 30 points. So, I mean, you can start him in your cash games for sure. His upside is not there just because he doesn't score a lot, and I don't see him scoring a lot against Minnesota so much. But I think he's a very safe bet for 15 boards.
All right, solid enough. Me personally, I'm looking at Bledsoe, Booker pretty much. I don't really like anybody else from the Suns.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Bledsoe and Tyson. TJ Warren's been seeing a little bit more consistency. I would have, well, I guess maybe not.
I thought he was shooting the ball a lot, and then all of a sudden he just like Bledsoe's been having these games, and Warren's just not been shooting.
So I saw that Phoenix at Cleveland game. So that's what I was. He had 40 minutes there, scored 30 fantasy points, but then he followed that up with 2 stinkers. So forget everything I just said there. So TJ Warren, though, he seems like a perfect tournament play. Like he'd be right up your alley for that. But yeah, totally agree. I'd probably just stick to Bledsoe and Tyson Chandler here.
All right, moving on. Last game of the night, we have Utah on a back-to-back against Denver. 212 total here. Denver favored by 2 in this game. Rodney Hood, questionable. We still, he's probably more on the doubtful side until we get more news. But Moutier is questionable. That would be interesting. And then Arthur and Harris, both projected to play in this game. They're both probable. We'll start with the Utah side. We know Denver doesn't play defense, and Utah plays a lot of defense. I'm really shocked that Denver's favored in this game.
Yeah, me too. I think Utah is going to be my favorite team in the West to kind of – I think they're a better San Antonio team is what I'm saying. So, obviously Golden State is still the team, but I think Utah is going to be turning some heads this year. So, yeah, I am really surprised that Denver's favored by 2 here. I love Utah in this spot, though. I mean, such a fast-paced game. I guess the only downside is they're in Denver, and Utah is on a back-to-back, so might have some tired legs being up at Mile High. So,
yeah, they say it's the hardest back-to-back in the NBA to fly into Denver for the second half of a back-to-back. So maybe that has something to do with it. Either way, Utah, the team that I'm going to be firing, Gobert, Hayward, Hill, Ingles on FanDuel is still too cheap. Those are my 4 really guys I'm going to be targeting the most from this game.
Yeah, I think really Utah is all in play here. There's not one guy that I would probably stay away from. I think from their seasonal average, I mean, this pace is ridiculously high for them. So, yeah, I like a lot of these guys in cash and in tournaments. But I think Rudy Gobert would be really solid in this game. And George Hill probably be my second favorite. George Hill on DraftKings is 6,900. I don't like that price tag. Definitely get him over on FanDuel where he's cheaper. But yeah, Gordon Hayward I think is a great cash game play too.
Looking at the Denver side, is this a spot that we can fade the Joker?
Not on DraftKings, man. At 8,600, he's way too cheap. I mean, what this guy is, he's a 10K guy now, and for some reason, he's 8,600 on DraftKings. So you're getting him here at a huge discount. I know he goes up against Rudy Gobert, one of the toughest defenders, but the way Jokic plays, he's going to be bringing Gobert out from the hoop, and Jokic is going to be more than fine here. He passes the ball so well. I see his floor at being, 35, 40 points for sure. So, I mean, even if he gives you 40 points, are you going to be that really, upset at 8,600?
In tournaments, yes.
Yeah, in tournaments for sure, yes.
And his ownership at only 40 points in tournaments, yes, I'd be super pissed off.
So again, now Joker's usually downside is foul trouble. I don't see Rudy Gobert getting him in a foul trouble because just Gobert's offensive game is really just not there. If you look at his minutes, he got in foul trouble definitely against the Clippers. I don't know if he got in foul trouble against Minnesota or what happened there. But he's been starting to see 35, 36 minutes of late. So I think you can pencil him in here for, right at the, well, I guess I'm just seeing this. It's going to be the third game in 4 days. So maybe they limited his minutes in one of those games because he had 21.
The Clippers game, he was still dealing with that. Was it ankle injury?
Okay. Yeah.
And Minnesota, he got in foul trouble in that game.
Okay. Well, I mean, I actually like that he didn't play too many minutes because, with it being the third game in 4 days, I think you can pencil him in if he stays healthy in this game for like 30, 32, 34 minutes.
Don't be alarmed. That was just my watch hitting my glass desk. Yeah, on DraftKings, I think I'll definitely have a little exposure, tiny exposure. FanDuel is the easiest fade in the world. Like, I'm not playing Jokic at 9,800 on FanDuel. That's just clear fade for me. I will take everybody that's under him before I would take him. LaMarcus Aldridge, way cheaper, point per dollar wise, should definitely be there. Ilyasova, probably way better point per dollar play than Jokic. I'm not doing it.
Yep, and like he's seriously the only guy that I want to play on Denver. So it's going to be Jokic or nothing in probably all of Denver for across the industry tomorrow. So
well, it all depends too, right? Like if we get news that Moutier sits, then like Jamal Murray becomes a really interesting tournament play.
Sure.
Not Jameer Nelson. I did not say Jameer Nelson. I said Jamal Murray.
Yes. I kind of see that, but again, I'm not going to be totally in love with it. Utah is this is just such a pace down game, and I respect Utah's defense. I mean, they're like top 3 or top 4 at every position. So, I mean, this is not a team that you want to target.
All right, let's get into the game. That's it for the game-by-game breakdown. Let's get into the game. We'll start with you. Obviously, if you guys haven't listened before, we pick our favorite 6X guy. That means 6X is salary over on DraftKings. 7X guy. Our favorite guy over 8K to get under 5X return, and then a 3K bonus pick that we feel like can possibly get you 7X, which is 21 fantasy points.
Okay, was that four different people that we have to draft then?
Yeah, and you do 3K last, no veto on the 3K. Just
okay, so there is a veto though.
Yeah, you get 1 veto per person.
Okay, all right. You allowing me to start this off?
Yeah, I'll let you bat lead off.
All right. Okay, let's do and DK pricing. So let's do Rudy Gobert for 6X.
All right. You and your cash game thinking there. I'm going to take my 6X guy right off the bat as well, and I'm going to go to the same game with George Hill.
All right.
And
yeah, that's fine.
See.
I think George Hill's just too overpriced on DK, so I think you're paying.
That's why I said 6 and not 7. I'm definitely gonna have a lot of exposure to him because people aren't gonna pay him at the price.
Sure.
I'm gonna take my bust next, and I'm gonna say Jokic is gonna go under 5X.
All right, I'll definitely allow you to have that one.
I know you will. That's why I said it.
All right. Do we have to go 7X or we can go whatever?
You got 7X and you got your bust, and then we do 3X last.
Okay.
3K.
I got a tough one for 7X here. It's between two guys, but let's see here. Let me go with Tyson Chandler. I don't know if I can squeeze 7X out of him.
I'm definitely gonna let you have that.
He doesn't have too much upside unless he decides to score, but yeah, his floor is so good for 6X.
And then you got your bust over 8K, 5X less.
Okay. Let's do. I mean, this would be so cheap if Blake was over 8K. No, okay, I'll do Karl-Anthony Towns.
Cat.
Yeah, Cat for a bust there.
All right, my 7X guy is Corey Joseph.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to X that one out.
Figure.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you.
That's fine. I'll go Jeff Green.
Jeff Green, there you go. Stay on brand. Okay, and then now we're just doing 3K?
Yeah, you're 3K guy.
All right, let's see. It's
tough, man. I'm telling you, it's really tough. 3K is tough.
I feel like I had a guy.
You did, and I hope you don't say him.
Okay, I got him. Terry Rozier?
Yeah, that's who I had written down before we even started the podcast.
You can cross him out.
No veto on the 3K.
Oh, no veto. Okay.
Let's see here. Man. All right.
I see a guy.
No, there was another guy that I had looked at. Hold on. I know which team he plays for, so I'm Xing out the team real quick. Oh, God, I can't say that. Let's see, man. Took my guy.
I want to talk about a 3K guy while you're thinking. So Alec Burks from Utah, he's seen 19 and 24 minutes the last two games. I don't know if that's going to be kind of a theme here for him, but he's returned 7X the last two games at 3K.
I'm going to – man, this is the other guy I was thinking about. This is so boomer bust. If I script this slate, I'll probably have like 3%. So don't go crazy with this one. But Jaylen Brown is the other guy.
Okay. All right. I thought you were going to
say actually, no, I'm changing that because I'm doing it because I'm the host and I can do whatever I want. It's Jason Smith.
Jason Smith. Oh, okay. There you go. That seems a little bit safer. Jared Sollinger's another guy. Like if he gets his minutes, he can definitely put up 20 plus.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Jason Smith's been getting some solid runs. So
yeah, he is.
Why is he 3K? Make sure I write that down real quick. All right. Before we started the podcast, I sent out a question on Twitter. We're going to rapid fire these questions.
Sure.
Why does Brett play catcher without a cup?
Yeah, that's from my buddy Eric Rasmussen. We used to play like a traveling team in New London, Wisconsin, and I was a backup catcher on this team. So it's like not like I was really needed to catch, but there were times where we didn't have a catcher, and I would have to be the catcher, and I was comfortable without a cup just because it always was awkward with a cup. I could never run with a cup in, and like we're talking 10 plus years ago where it still was not comfortable to wear a cup. I don't know if they made cups better now, but yeah, I always rolled without a cup, and luckily I never got like a foul tip to the nuts. So
I played center field and pitcher. I never wore a cup either, but you wouldn't have caught me without. I used to run a 4.40. Like I used to be super in shape. So you would have never caught me though without a cup. I promise you that.
Oh really?
I threw 97, 98 with a 12-6 curveball.
Yeah, I never caught anybody that fast. I mean, we had guys reaching somewhere around 90, but that's not even in New London. But some of the better pitchers that I ever caught for.
All right, back on topic. Okafor or Noel?
I will go with Okafor pretty easily. If Noel draws a start, though, love Noel.
I'm with you there. Rank for DK GPP: Wall, Thomas, Butler, Bledsoe.
Wall, I gotta write this down. Wall,
I'll take this one. It's Isaiah, it's Bledsoe, it's Wall, then Butler for me.
Yeah. I almost got a seat in front of me.
Yeah, that's why there's 4 names, so it's tougher. Better play, IT2 or Waiters Island?
Waiters Island.
Waiters doesn't.
Yeah, Dion Waiters is not playing in the slate. So
yeah, nice try. Hey guys, do you have 2 lineups for cash, one higher stakes and one for lower stakes? That's more your question there.
Say that again. Do I have lineups?
No. Do you run 2 lineups every day, one for higher stakes and one for lower stakes?
Nope. I have a cash game lineup that I'll roll with, and then I'll do. Sometimes there's like survivor type lineups that I'll have, or I'll have. Sometimes I'll even break it up with 50-50 lineups or heads up lineups, because heads up lineups I really want to have like a higher ceiling than my 50-50 lineups. 50-50 I just care about the floor. And then sometimes I'll run multiple tournament lineups. But yeah, does not matter what stake level. I'm rolling just one cash game normally.
All right. How much Bledsoe is enough Bledsoe? Like for me on this slate, if I script this slate, it's probably going to be 50% Thomas and 50% Bledsoe. I'll probably get split exposure and pair them at probably about a 25% rate.
Yeah, you're going to want a lot of Bledsoe. Just looking at like the higher price guys, I really think Karl-Anthony Towns is priced way too high at 10.5 on DraftKings. But Bledsoe, man, at 8,900, I'm going to have plenty of exposure there. A guy like Kawhi, who sat down yesterday at Toronto, I think I'm going to have plenty of exposure there. And then John Wall and Jokic, I think, are both, higher price guys that I'm also going to want exposure to on DraftKings. So, but yeah, Bledsoe, probably around half my lineups. That sounds right.
Let's see. Do you like Derek Favors on FanDuel at 4.5K against Denver?
That's really specific.
That sounds really cheap.
Yeah, let me just gotta see his minutes lately, because Favors is that type of guy where he's been seeing about only half the game. I'd love to see him start reaching 30 minutes. But yeah, at only 4,500, he doesn't need to do too much. So yeah, like him for sure. Even if he only gets 26 minutes at 4,500, he's for sure cash game viable.
All right. Without DeRozan, does that make Lowry a usage monster? It wasn't that big a bump. What, it was about 3% what we saw?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's he's not high on my list, to be honest with you. Like I'm more likely to click on Eric Bledsoe's name. Kyle Lowry, this is the Spurs. This is going to be a slower pace game. Could we see Kawhi somehow guard Kyle Lowry? Would they ever do that?
Would not shock me. Yeah. With no DeRozan, would not shock me.
Because if that happens, and Kawhi can shut down anybody, so
just get your Corey Joseph exposure.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say next. I'm more likely to against a team like the Spurs, against a team like Utah, good defensive. I'd rather go with a cheaper piece, especially when I don't know where Kawhi would defend. If Kawhi defends Lowry, it's going to be a long night.
And this is just and tomorrow's podcast, we're going to be talking about how good of a play Lowry is against Milwaukee. It's matchup. It's matchup based. Yep. George Hill cost me a lot of money tonight, so he's going to have a good game tomorrow, right? We like George Hill. We had talked about him quite a bunch.
Yep. Get George Hill over on FanDuel. I know you picked him as your 6X guy. Let's see, he's 6,900 on DraftKings. He's 6,300 on FanDuel. So
that just tells you how much I like George Hill. That's all I'm saying. Which strategy should I use to take down a single entry tournament? Check out Chris Jamito over on FanDuel or on Roto Grinders. He writes an awesome article all the time about single entry strategy. That way, it would take me 10 minutes to explain what kind of strategy and stuff like that. And then the last question was Jokic versus Jazz tomorrow. You're okay with it on DraftKings. I'm probably going to end up fading.
Yep. Jokic will be the only Denver Nugget that I have in my lineups, and I love his price. This is a 10K guy that you're getting for 8,600. So, like I said, Rudy Gobert is usually not a guy that you want to target opposing centers, but Jokic's game is so unlike most centers. So he can produce, assisting the ball, rebounding, and scoring. So not too many centers that can do what he can do.
All right, my friend. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Good slate though. 6 games. Feel like there's plenty of opportunity.
Yes, man, I agree. I'm going to be a Blue Man Group tomorrow night, so I don't know if I'm going to attempt. I do like the slate a lot, but the girlfriend's date night. My parents got us. We're right next to the stage. They got us tickets for Christmas.
When do they shut down Blue Man Group? I mean, because they've been like, there's like seriously Blue Man Groups in Chicago, Las Vegas.
It's sold out like almost every night too. It's crazy. I've never been. I've lived in Florida, 30 minutes from Orlando, my whole life, and I've never been.
Yeah, I've never been to one either. There are chances for me to go, and I always turned it down.
I'm interested to see what it's all about, to be honest. So we'll see how that works out. Brett, always a pleasure to have you on. If you guys want to follow him on Twitter, it's KillaB2482. Obviously, I'll be tweeting out the leak with him on there, so make sure you guys are following one of the best cash players in the entire industry. And that's going to do it here for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Grind Podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with the 3-man pod. Notorious and SBK will be joining me. Good luck in your contest tonight, and we'll see you again tomorrow.